Good evening, everyone. Episode number, what are we up to? 75. Should know that year. It was a great year. A great man was born right then. 75 it's episode 75 of So What's Been Happening. It is Wednesday, the 22nd of June. Time's ticking on. It's a little bit fresh tonight, coming to you live from a little shack called Montmorency. Here we go. All right. Let's just see what Cuz is up to, mate. Look at Cuz. Casper the Ghost behind you.
Hello, mate. What's going? Let's talk about that. What's going later on. Hi, Az. How's your week been so far? Halfway through hump day?
Yeah, not bad, mate. We're battling through. Yeah, fair to say. All right, let's do a quick cross to the man on the streets. We're going for a bit of street talk. Who knows?
Man, people.
Could get a bit of street talk tonight. Here he is, Mr. Mirrelbach. G'day, mate. How are you, Lovey?
How are you, Tip Rats?
Welcome back.
It is absolutely freezing.
Sure is.
It is so cold. I've got another 10-minute walk going up a hill. So if you hear me starting to pant a little bit, it's probably why. Probably reminds everyone of the Monty Meanderer when he walks 500 metres and he's absolutely spent. So,
Yes.
Yeah, anyway, it's a good night. It's a fresh night. Not a cloud in the sky at it here at Mirrelbach. So, yeah. What's it like at Monty? Snow?
It's bit fresh, mate. Mate, any chance for a random door knock?
Oh, you want me to just knock on people's doors randomly?
A bit of light would be good. Any
Bit
chance of street light?
of clothesline shopping like I used to do at the age of 10. That was always fun.
Clothesline shopping. No dear.
Anyway, I'm walking across a main road now. Do you like how there's literally no fucking lights though?
Yeah,
Bloody hell.
It's not the place to be walking.
No, that's okay. I'm walking because of a reason that I'll talk about probably at the end of the program too.
Righto. Look forward to that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so
Nice.
put me backstage for the next 10 and I'll come back on.
Righto, mate.
Beautiful,
Look
mate.
forward to seeing you.
On that note, go Mirrelbach.
Who is the local team at Mirrelbach, mate? The Mirrelbach Watts.
We actually play them. They'll play more, but they're actually going all right.
So you don't know who they are?
I do know that. I do know. Who are they?
No, Magpies.
No, not Magpies.
Let's cross in back to Mr. Mirrelbach. He might know.
Oh, he's back.
Any chance? Do you know, Lovey? Sadly, he's on mute, so we won't be able to use him. All right. We'll find that out before the end of the show because it's too good a town to not know whose footy team it is. All right, mate. The job hunt. Let's kick off with that.
Well, mate, the job hunt has become successful.
It's an interesting environment, isn't it? Trying to find work. Everyone out there that's not employed, he's doing it tough, fair to say. Looking for a job isn't easy. Tell us a little bit about the process you're going through, mate. It's an up and down roller coaster.
Look, it's interesting because every time you go to a job interview, my take on it is that you learn something about yourself because you get a chance to talk about yourself, but also learn about the people you're speaking to as well and their sort of culture at the company that they're representing. But that said, I find now, and I've been doing it for a little while again, you're almost trying to give the answer they want to hear in a way, whereas you're not really talking about yourself.
Yep.
So you can be a bit guarded in the responses that you're given that.
Be a little bit hard for you to do, cuz not talk about yourself.
I know. I'm very
listening.
It's exactly right. Very contrite like that.
I'll cut you off quickly. We've had a scoop, and you should know this, given that you coach
the Mustangs. Yes,
the Mirrelbach Mustangs. So there you go. Good name, actually. White Horse Mustangs use that too out there. Basketball.
Oh, do they? Yeah. Yep.
Team. So they're out that way. All right, mate. Sorry, keep going. Where are we at with the job hunt?
Yeah. Look, I've been offered a role at Oakley Grammar, which is fantastic,
Very good. Good to hear.
which is good. But look, I went for an interview today at Whitefriars College, and it was just the way they went about it was just so refreshing. It was just like, to me, an interview should be just having a chat, telling you a little bit about your history, what you've sort of done, what experience you're going to bring to the role, and then sort of telling you whether, how, or why that's going to fit into what they're sort of looking for. And the one I had today was a really good interview. Like this, the way that, like the two ladies and the gentleman I spoke to, they were lovely. Put you at ease straight away, and that's the hardest thing, like to go to an interview and not be on sort of tender hook, so to speak.
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing. That you want to just sit down, have a chat. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Take the experience, stick it in your pocket, and walk away with it.
Yeah, well, as you know, you can't get more experience by sitting in a meeting.
No.
You walk in with that experience, and you get found out anyway. So you might as well just tell them who you are, what you're about, what you want to do in that role, and you work out whether you're a fit. That's as simple as that, really. It's the discussion I always have is in relation to training, mate. And if you get the right training, no matter what the role, and you're prepared to learn, you'll be good at the role. If you don't get given the training, what do you expect? You know.
And I think that's the biggest thing too, mate. That you get given that correct training. I don't care what age you are. You have to go to a role with an openness and a preparedness to learn and be trained in their way, and put your own little take and slant on it. But be prepared to sit down and take that little time to learn that role.
Yep, definitely. All right, mate. Where do you want to kick off tonight? I thought we'd leave it pretty open to kick off the show. What do you got?
Mate, we've got to bring him up. Jordan De Goey, mate. What is going on there? Is it a storm in a teacup?
Well, here we go with... Yeah, it was interesting. Obviously, we'll no doubt talk about this a little bit more with Lovey and Sam a little bit later, but let's touch on it quickly. That fair to say it was a media circus, definitely. To have a contract offer pulled, I think probably was the right call from Collingwood. Now it's a case of show us what you got, see if you really deserve this contract. There's two ways to look at it. One way is you could show full faith in him as a club and get around him and say, right, we're going to sign you now. Here's your new contract. But as you know, it's a risk, massive risk. I think he's been given a fresh start previous to going to Bali. And the interesting part is there was two other Collingwood players of note that were in Bali and no one even knew they were there. So that's just difference of human beings, I guess. The part I've got the issue with is him coming out now, calling the ADHD card. And I'm not doubting that he may have it, but I'm saying that's not the reason you're behaving like you're behaving. Is it? Surely not. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, as you know, I've done a little bit of work, and I'm going back into that field again, working with children who have learning difficulties and whatever as an integration aid. I'm not a fan of playing that card when you've made poor choices. Now, I'm not sitting in judgment of Jordan De Goey, but when he had a chance, as I think Nick Grewald spoke during last week about it, had a choice to go to Bali, fly under the radar, do what he wanted to do. He chose to go the other way.
Yep.
Now, whether you agree or not, whether the charges were maintained, whether they stuck or whatever, he's got form in this area. So instead of bringing attention to yourself, mate, pull your head in, go to the Gold Coast, go to WA, go wherever you want to go to. You don't need to go to Bali.
Yep.
And now that it's come out and now he's not coping with it, my ADHD's kicked in. It doesn't look great. And to me, I think, look, the guy's a great footballer. Let's talk about his football ability here. He's a fantastic footballer, but he's now become damaged goods. There was a lot of clubs who would have chased him, and now they'll be having serious thoughts.
Well, here's a question for you. If it wasn't Jordan De Goey and he wasn't as good a footballer, what would have been the outcome?
I reckon he's on.
Are we hanging on the fact that he is a good footballer and he's too good to let go?
Well, I think. Look, I can't speak for the powers about Collingwood, but I think Collingwood, part of them were in that, I suppose, wheelhouse that he's not behaving as we expect him to behave, and upholding a certain demeanour and attitude. So they were possibly thinking, "Oh, someone will take him off his hands." Now they could be left holding the baby, so to speak.
Yeah.
And the fact they've pulled contracts, look, I get the distinct impression that he's on borrowed time with Collingwood, but now who else is going to take the punt on him?
I think they sign him if he has no other issues for the rest of this year. I think they sign him and keep moving on. They'll play good footy. He'll play good footy. He wouldn't be the first guy that's had some sort of indiscretion, and fair to say he's done nothing illegal other than that inappropriate, I guess, is probably one term, which is what Collingwood had the issue with, not the fact that he went to Bali. He should be allowed to go wherever he wants. Fair to say it's a week off, so if guys are allowed to go to Perth or another state, then he should be fine to go to Bali. But you're right. Why go to the jungle if you didn't need to? Could have had a much better outcome and not put himself in that position.
I get the impression, and I don't know Jordan De Goey, but I get the impression he almost likes to test the water. So let's say if I do something, for want of a better word, a bit naughty, a bit sort of against the flow, am I going to get a reaction? Well, guess what, mate? You're going to get a reaction because people are waiting for you to do that sort of stuff now. And look, the other thing too, I know when I go out with you guys, we muck around and do silly stuff. But, hey, boys, we're going away. The phone's just staying at home.
Yeah.
Look, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be your phone. You got friends and everyone else. Yeah. He was always going to be a target. So these days with social media, someone was definitely, once they realised it was him, was always going to have some footage of him. So, disappointing in the end. But now, I suppose he has some time out to think about it. They're not going to play him this week. Probably the right call. His call, apparently. So let's see. On to better things. We've got a great round of footy coming up.
Great round of footy
for sure. And it kicks off tomorrow night with a massive, massive game. But let's touch on one more moment from this round just gone. What's your thoughts on this moment?
Yeah, not a fan at all, mate.
Okay. I'm throwing you into the dinosaur.
Oh, I'm in the dinosaur bracket. Look, it almost came back and bit him on the ass.
Well, you nearly ran into the goalpost.
Yeah, but they got within, like, if that goal had been allowed, they would have got within 3 points. Can you imagine Dimmer if they'd have got done?
Yeah, sure. But those moments happen, and they should be. I still believe they should be allowed to happen. We've seen it before. There was footage of the Montagna one from years ago, where he sat and waited in the goal square and then bounced the ball and then put it through. I just think we're just taking the character out of the game. He's an electrifying, good player. I mean, to show him the ball, I just think it's a little bit of flair. I don't read too much into it. Can reek of a little bit of arrogance, but when you do get caught out and found out, I think that adds a little bit to the fire as well. So I think we're just got a little bit too stereotyped in the game. That's all.
Yeah, look, I think a lot of coaches, though, and obviously putting on a bit of a coaching hat here, coaches don't like players giving opposition a needle.
Yep.
So don't give them something they can use back against you.
Sure.
And something like that is something that can come back and bite you on the bum. That's what I think. I'm with you. I'm all for having the lovable rogues and that in the game and keeping the character in the game. But to me, it doesn't look good.
Yep, sure. Righto, let's leave it that one. All right, we're going to jump around a little bit tonight between topics, and we're going to move to this one, which is an interesting bit of vision that's come up for this week. The iconic, the great Lauren Jackson, comeback time. Only for the championships at this stage, or com games, is what the plan was, I think. But let's see. At her age, she's an absolute legend of the game. I reckon we bring back Gazy while we're there. What do you reckon?
Well, she's got to go down as that greatest basketball of all time, doesn't she?
I would have thought so.
Like, she's probably got one of the greatest resumes as a basketballer that there is.
Yep. No, I would have thought so. And I think classic case of fill a need. And if she's ready to go, we've got a big need to be filled. And that's that position after departure of Liz Cambage for various round of reasons by the sounds of it. But Lauren Jackson's done all the right things, and her comeback was never intended for this. It was more a case of, from what I heard today, she was just getting out, playing and losing some weight again. And all of a sudden she's back playing with Albury, which was her home team in NBL 1. And then it's kind of started from there. And now she's got to a point where she's put herself up for selection, and she'll probably more than likely going to get selected. She's no guarantee walk-up start, but there's not too many big centers like her kicking around, that's for sure.
Oh, look, I think she's become, the way she's handled herself, and she struggled at times with the media and the commitments that come with being a star of the sport. But compare her to the other girl, Liz Cambage. Well, you can't. You can compare apples and oranges, aren't you, really?
Yep. All right, let's move on to the quick next topic. We're going to fire a few more topics at you. Just before Mr. Murubak comes back in. Let's get your opinion, and then we'll bring in Lovey, because I know he'll have an opinion on this one. This now sets the precedence, doesn't it, amongst other sports, because it opened a big can of worms. Transgender swimmers banned from competing against other women. To me, it's a no-brainer. It's the right call. But interested in your opinion, Cuz.
I'm like you, mate. It's a no-brainer. So I have no issues with someone wanting to transform from a male to a female, and I can't even begin to understand all the ins and outs that come with that. But if you're a mediocre, for want of a better word, sports person, and you're using that to become a better sports person, I have an issue with that.
Yep.
So if you choose to become a trans person and transform from male to female, I don't think you can compete with women. I don't think that's fair.
Righto. There's your opinion. Lovey, did you see what the news, this one?
Yeah.
What's your opinion, mate?
Well, first of all, apologies for the shiny aspect to my head. You know, when you get stuck in 2-degree weather and yet it's you wear a beanie and it's completely hot, really hot underneath. And when you've got a fat head, the heat just keeps absorbing into the top of the beanie. But so apologies first of all. I'll wipe down later. I applaud the courage behind the decision as much as I applaud individuals that go through their transitions. I think both things are very courageous things to do. If you go through transition like Cuz, I've got no idea what's involved. The mental health aspect to that must be extreme.
Yep.
So for that, I'll always have a very thorough, open mind about why people do it.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, sports are governed by rules. Sports are governed by specific parameters around whether you're a female, if it's a female competition or a male competition.
So what do you think the answer is, Lovey? Is the answer a category now?
Well,
and obviously there's not going to be many athletes potentially.
That would be my view, because obviously there's clear medical advice out there that I've read that suggests there's certain percentages of male elements to female elements, and then the in between. If you haven't traced off, say, I don't know, the percentage enough to be actually classified as a female for a particular sport, then I do think, to be fair, there needs to be some sort of category. Now, the thing that raises from a mental perspective, from a mental health perspective for the genders,
is that some of them people at transition believe they are actually their new gender, their new sex. So why can't I? So that could be a bridge between the two genders, but I think the courage that has been taken by FINA to actually make a definitive decision, I think still protects the integrity of the sport and its predecessors that are participating in it.
And I think
I was a swimmer from way back. I was a young swimmer from way back. So I know the hard work that goes into it. And particularly for the females. The female swimmers are absolutely unbelievably good. And they work extra hard, more harder than the guys do, I'm sure. So to then have their competitions, in my view, compromised by someone who still has the attributes of a male athlete, I don't think is right.
And I think, as you said, I think the fact that the decision is definitive, that it's very black and white, pardon the pun, I think that makes it an even stronger decision. And I don't dispute it would have been a very tough decision, but that makes it a good decision that they've gone, okay, let's make it crystal clear. This is the parameter. If you don't fall into that parameter, unfortunately, you can't compete.
Look, what they've done, and I wish our politicians would go through this same pathway and process, they've actually considered it very, very strongly. They've consulted very strongly, and they've now set absolute parameters. And that's where the courage and the conviction of the decision has been made. And there's no black and white behind that now. So for me, unfortunately, for transitioning athletes, the sooner they at least have a category that they can compete in, the better. If that's the new world, so be it. But I don't, and I think you need to have. You need to come to a bit of build a bridge around that one and help them out. You can't just go, well, that's it. You no longer can compete, because they transition to the point where they're no longer strong enough to be in the male category either. So provide them at least a platform. A bit like there's no comparison to this, but the Paralympics have their own special games, right? So can transitioning athletes either have that, or there's a third category? Let's use the Olympics as an example. I think they could. And that would then naturally evolve like anything else. As you go through it, you experiment with it, you do it, you test it out, see what that looks like. And if it doesn't work, then you go back to the think tank and go again.
And I think by doing that shows a level of acceptance of it as well too. It doesn't
consideration, isn't it?
It doesn't ostracize them. It doesn't make them sort of feel like as you said, Lovey, because they'll get to a point where, as you mentioned, they're not strong enough to compete in the male classes, and obviously they can be too strong for the women. So you need that sort of, I don't want to use the word middle ground, but you need that sort of compartment or area where they can fit into.
Yeah.
Righto. All right, let's move on.
Now, go as I had been listening previously to you, Shy Bolton.
Right, we'll come back to that one. We'll come back to
Geordie, and also before you go to your next topic, Cuz, well done. You've got an offer on the table, very good, and you spoke very well about the pressures and the dilemmas of job seeking. I think a lot of people could absolutely take that.
Understand, especially at the moment too. I think people. I find when I do it, and I'm sure people do it as well, and you find you second guess yourself in a way. Even though you know what you've done, you know your history, you know your job history, whatever, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, but you find you're almost guessing. It's like playing chess against somebody. You're almost trying to pick their next move and then go with, oh shit, I'll go with that answer, even though it might be not what you really want to go with as your gut, so to speak.
Yep. Well done, mate. Good boy.
Hi, mate. Thank you.
Congratulations from all of us, mate, and everyone that knows you, Cuz. We know what the hunt's been like. It's not easy. It's not easy mentally to ride that roller coaster. So take this one, mate, by the horns and embrace it, mate, and good luck. So, all right, let's move on to the next topic, which is the Golden State Warriors. Have done it again. This was fantastic. This was a week old now, almost, since we had a podcast. So Steph Curry. He's finally in the big discussion now as far as some of the greatest of all time. There's no doubt. What's your thoughts, Lovey? Did you see the final?
Yeah, I watched most of the games.
Yep.
He's clearly the best of the last 10, 15 years, along with LeBron. From a team perspective, he's surpassed LeBron. I think he goes past LeBron certainly because he's done all four at the one club or franchise. He's done the hard work with a rebuild team as well as winning championships. So for me, from a team perspective, he's ahead of LeBron. The fact he's now got a Finals MVP. I was actually trying to work out who the hell won the previous three for Golden State. I thought Steph had already won one, but he hadn't. So, but he could. Guys may have seen on social media just a picture of him sitting at the same table as Larry Bird, Magic, Michael, LeBron, a few of the other boys, Kobe Bryant. He's definitely in that conversation from an MVP perspective. He's not going to be the greatest of all time because the game's changed and it is just a 3-point game these days. And I still say, if you take that team and you put that up against the Chicago Bulls of the fourth year of their peak when they went 72, Bulls would wipe them off the floor. I've got no doubt about that. And you even go back to the Pistons back in 1989-90 with the bad boys, they just would destroy them. But like I said, it's a different game. I think Steph would probably have still played pretty well back then. So what a game. What a champion. And, you see all the hype and all the bit of wankerism that's going around, the circle jerks that goes on in the NBA, but he's pretty humble too. I actually don't mind the way he goes about his stuff. He's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
he's got to be in that conversation now, doesn't he, though, with the greatest. So, but as you said, Lovey, I think he's manufactured his game perfectly to the way they play the game now. Like, obviously, him being a great three-point shooter, the way that basketball is played now, it's a hand into a glove, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
He's redefined the sport. Simple as that.
Yeah. Berkey made a good point that he's redefined it from behind the arc, which doesn't often get done. There's been iconic players that have done it from, say, inside the paint or wherever, but Steph is definitely one that has changed the game from back there. So, I hope he continues, to be honest. I think he's got a little bit left in him still. Who knows? Could he pull a fifth?
I think that three have got one more in them.
Yeah, I think so. So I think they should go again. While that franchise, they were dragged. They came up from nothing. Let's face it, they came out of the clouds. They were terrible last year, but they got there. So fantastic effort and great to see. Because it's not easy. There's a lot of teams, a lot of games, and they've done it. And they won it off at Boston too. So incredible effort, Game 6. All right, let's move on to some other quick Australian champions. The Wizard Whitlock. He's done it again. He's not looking as much like Brett Lee anymore. Don't think of Brett Lee, but he's passing. He's getting a little bit older, Simon Whitlock, but he's teamed up with Damon Hedder and won the World Cup of Darts. So fantastic effort. We thought we'd just give that a little shout out. Obviously, darts aren't big on a lot of people's priority list, so doesn't get a lot of airtime. But I know there's a lot of people that love darts in respect of go to a darts tournament and see some of the hijinks and just absolute pandemonium.
Hijinks, I like it.
Absolute pandemonium. Obviously, with plenty of beers and a bit of a laugh and a bit of fun.
Know what? It's the sport with the most drunken crowd you'll ever come across. Because the players themselves are half cut while they're playing too.
Yep. I think it's interesting about it. I think it's interesting. They don't seem to have any real trouble at those things, even though they're all 3/4 or more than 3/4 cut. They all seem to just have fun and know that they're there to actually have fun. Whereas go and get them all 3/4 cut at the boxing and bring a boxing ring in, and all of a sudden everyone's a boxer. So two different crowds, I think. I think that we'll put that down to.
Yeah.
All right, this week's footy. Oh, before we actually touch on this week's footy, let's go to. I asked Dave Cosma I gave him a little challenge, and unfortunately, Dave can't jump on the show tonight. He's at a school camp playing one of the adult parents who comes and helps at the camp. So that'll be an interesting story to hear next week.
Is he playing some of his original stuff, or do you reckon he'll be playing some campfire songs like Kevin Bloody Wilson and Santa Claus?
I'm not even sure if he's there for the music. I think he's just there as a dad to help out at camp. So,
bit of kumbaya, my lord, maybe.
He might be cooking up a big carbonara. Who knows? Who knows?
Send Cuz the recipe, please.
Thank you. No,
exactly.
Thank you very much.
So as I said, I gave him a challenge. So it's a flip of the coin, boys, between who goes first. Lovey or Cuz with your little segments. Who's going to go first tonight? Is Lovey going to lose it?
Now Lovey can go first. Lovey can go first.
Righto. Here we go. So here it is from Dave Cosmo when I set him a new challenge that we desperately needed a new little jingle. Here's what he come up with.
What's gonna make our friend Lovey mad today? Lovey loses it. Lovey loses it. Lovey loses it. Yeah.
Not bad, Dave. Not bad at all. I like it. What's your thoughts, mate?
I really enjoy that black eye photo for starters. That's
it's a ripper.
That's extraordinary. That's straight out of that was 2009. Yeah, that one caved half my head in. So that was interesting. Yeah, good from Dave.
Right.
It's probably better than your little dubby voice in the background. Lovey loses it.
I'm sure it is, mate. I'm sure it is.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Look, and don't go off camera. I don't want to be the sole camera here on this one.
Right.
I was actually a fairly sedate, relatively happy man the last 2 weeks. But one thing I've noticed is that I don't know why we seem to be going for a race to the bottom on so many things as a society. It's becoming farcical. You mentioned the Goey stuff before. There's just so much that's going on with that. It's not funny. First of all, his behaviour. It just lacks maturity more than anything else. I mean, if we're all employed on a pretty lucrative contract, I'm expected to behave in the public space, regardless of whether I'm on personal time or not. So I'm sorry. Shouldn't have done it. Very silly boy. Also want to touch on the behaviour of the female that's in that clip. And when she came out to defend Jordan a few days back, it's fine. It's good. But she's forgotten a lot of like what the new generation seem to, or this current new generation floating through. She's completely forgotten about the fact that you probably still need to keep your respect about yourself and the people around you. You may have consented and you may have felt like that's all okay and that should be thrown up on social media. But it's actually not. A lot of people do get offended by it. So you need to at least understand and respect that if you want to be a mature adult. To that next point, we all want to be a little bit self-serving. And the problem with social media is everybody becomes self-centered. It's a little bit of me. And I've mentioned the politicians so many times beforehand, it's not funny. But I go to Lisa Wilkinson from Logie's night. Now, young Brittany Higgins is trying to get her trial up and running for that, the alleged incidences that have occurred. For someone like Lisa Wilkinson, once again, to become so self-centered and try and take the limelight and spew out the stupid shit that she did, knowing beforehand, she was warned by the judge, knowing beforehand that any mentions of it was going to delay the trial. She put herself ahead of anyone else, and we see that on a daily basis. So I've gone on to the media. This is my last bit. We all seem to be going down to this. It's a race to the bottom, and these are the key issues: social media, general media, and the generations that just don't seem to understand or accept what proper behaviour actually is anymore. The general media, the sports media, the AFL media are also culpable for the Jordan to Goey stuff. You made a perfect point before, Aaron. I totally agree 100%. If it wasn't Jordan Goey, would this be an issue? Of course not. Now, if this wasn't a lucrative contract coming up in his last year of the contract, would this be an issue? Probably not. But the combination of all these things means that there's a lot of pressure on particularly the younger generation. But as mature adults, surely we can't be that self-centered about ourselves and completely ignoring what's around us from a socio, environmental, cultural impact. All of these poor behaviours from media, our leaders, people who just jump on social media, they say that we do it because it's social media. I mean, those two boys that were doing pretend ratings of pretend things, it's not the issue. The issue isn't the fact that, it's on social media and that's what you do on social media, so it's fine. Just peel it back a few layers, boys. Grow up. Do you actually think that's actually the right thing to be doing? Don't worry about the fact you posted it somewhere. Do you think that's actually an appropriate piece of behaviour? Just because it's a social media activity doesn't mean you should go ahead and do it and think, well, that's all cool. People need to step back and start thinking about the people around them a little bit more, having a little bit of self-respect, so then you can have a little bit more respect around everyone else. That's it.
Good point, mate. And well said. I totally agree with you on many of those points, mate.
Nice, mate.
Thanks for bringing some of those to the table.
All
right, before...
And one more thing.
He's going to lose it again. Go for it.
I will touch on the Shea Bolton thing. The only thing I found disrespectful is you do not wave the football at someone like Doherty. You do not do that. That is just absolutely disgraceful. Look, you know what? Celebrate the goal if you've kicked it. Make sure you kick the goal first and celebrate it and carry on like a pork chop with your cheer squad, your teammates, whatever. But look at that. Now, do you think someone like Doherty deserves to be taunted like that? I wouldn't have thought so. Or any other footballer that's out there. It's you're crashing and bashing. Yeah, the intimidation and getting under their skin. Geez, you can do that with a good hip and shoulder or whatever. Don't act like a dick. And again, that's more self-centered behaviour. It's just, where are they going? Where are they going with all this? And who's mentoring them, all these people? Like, where's all the mentoring on this stuff? All this shit starts at home, right? It starts at home, and it's also at your workplace. So, fucking sort it out. Yeah,
you would have thought. Well, I mean, Shea Bolton doesn't have to do any of that. He's got a level of magic within himself.
He's too good.
Maybe he's drinking his own bathwater a little bit too much, thinking he is that good. But he is good, no question, and he's great for the game. But why turn people off you by doing stupid things? And that's kind of my point on it. I didn't really have a big issue with it. I thought it was just a bit of showmanship kind of thing. But you're right, he didn't need to do it. It was a stupid kind of thing, and I dare say he probably regrets it.
It's just a lack of respect for the peers that you're playing with and against. That's what I don't like about it.
Yeah, I think the great part was Hardwick came out, the coach, straight away and said, mate, that's not us. That's not what we do. That's not what we stand for. So he reined it in pretty quickly, which was great. So before we move on to Cuz's Classic, we're going to run the top 75 moments.
Nice.
Here we go. There you go, just as we sneak back on camera. as you plug in and charge up, Lovey. Good work. You got the memo.
I'm charging up, mate.
Good work. What do you think, Cuz? Any standouts there for you?
Mate, as a kid growing up in the 70s, mate, how good was the $6 million man?
Wouldn't know. I wasn't born till 76. About like your old fart.
Still gets reruns, mate.
How many seasons, Cuz?
Oh, I reckon about 5. And then he found a wife as well. The $6 million woman as well came along as well. Or the Bionic woman, I should say.
The Bionic
There
woman.
was a few more. I think we're about
Was
8
that Linda?
seasons.
Who was the actress in that? It wasn't Linda Carter, was it?
No, she was Wonder Woman. It was Lindsay Wagner, her name was.
Ah, yes.
There you go. For me, 1975, what a year. Year I was born, the year Microsoft was born. Who would have thought that would have such an impact on our lives? I think I'm still running Windows 95. So we're at last 20 years on, Windows 95 kicks in and the Millennium Bug was about to bring us all down in 2000. Who would have thought the world of computers now has such a big influence on our lives, that's for sure.
North Melbourne's first flag, 75 too.
There you go. We didn't put that in. So, Lovey, did you see any standout in there for you?
What I would love to have seen was the great Vivian Richards in his casual finest when he was winning the first ever World Cup for cricket back in 1975. The coolest looking motherfucker you'll ever see in cricket ever. Not a hands down. Anyone who hasn't seen him, look him up. He wouldn't be lost in any St Kilda setting at any sort of musical festival. He was just the man. 75 for me, I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, it means that all I can think of was that Mum and Dad were pretty happy with each other because I was born in 76 in April. So, yeah, I'm not thinking about 75 too much, to be honest.
It was a good year. Cuz would have been about 28 by then. So, Robert Wine joins us, and he was in 75. He was at first grade 1 in Canada. So, who would have thought? Robert, shout out to Robert. He's a good man. Thanks for jumping on, mate. I know it's probably around 6:15 there. No, it's probably a little bit later. Maybe 7 o'clock by now in Canada. So shout out. It's a little bit fresh here, Robert. I'll let you know. So if ever you get out here to Australia, you're going to need your pack your winter woolies, that's for sure. All right, Cuz. The time has come. Once again, we set Dave Cosmer a challenge.
Looking forward to this.
To sharpen up the Cuz's classic pathetic intro that I had. It was pretty cheesy and we ran it for a few weeks, but I gave Dave a little bit of time. So here we go. This is what he came up with.
Like the 89 grand final, Cuz's classic. Like a dim sim, Cuz's classic. It's what the crowd come to see, Cuz's classics.
Fantastic, Dave. I love it.
He has found his calling in life.
Yep, the dim sim,
He's found his calling in life.
And he's I love how he's grabbed a couple of bits we've used in the show too. Who would have thought that
nice.
The dim sim show got so much attention
mate.
that it's definitely one of our best, and people couldn't believe that we spent half an hour talking about dim sims and how to eat them and what types there were and what sauces, and it was a great episode, that's for sure.
Well, I'm going down the culinary path again tonight, talking about steaks and how we like our steaks done.
Right. Yep.
So I'm a bit medium to well done, but often you'll find when you go to the classier sort of restaurants as opposed to your local pub, they're not a fan of doing them. Sizzler. What a great institution Sizzler was. Yeah, so I'm just interested to hear from you boys, how you like your steaks done, or how you cook your steaks yourself.
All right,
you go
first.
Yeah, right. I'm winding up on this one.
Yeah, get ready, Cuz. Well done, medium to well done. Do you say?
Yep.
Okay, mate. You totally. You would like probably minute steak then. That's probably your go, is it?
Minute.
Yeah. Cuz, I can't work with you on that one, mate.
That's all right.
Sadly, it's overcooked. It's terrible, chewy, and just a total waste of good meat. And shout out to Meat Maiden, where I'm going tomorrow night. Me, Bastian, a good friend of mine, and Eddie Zammit are catching up for a big, juicy steak at Meat Maiden. It's been a long time coming, a couple of years in the making, so we're finally getting it done tomorrow night. So sadly, we'll take photos and I'll bring them to the show next week. But sadly, I'm going to miss watching the footy, but I'll get the first half in. So it's a big challenge tomorrow night. Typically, I skipped to put it together and didn't realise that we'd be playing on a Thursday night. So who would have thought? Thought I was safe on Friday night.
If Melbourne are getting spanked, mate, you can stay back and have another steak. Just do that along with your beers.
Exactly. So just on those steaks, let's go with the. It probably doesn't even depend what the cut is, to be honest. I'm a medium to medium rare, to be honest, and it's got to be that way. I don't like blood. I don't want it to moo, but it's got to have a little bit of kick still in it. Probably a little bit more red than pink is my go. So, and I can't go past a butterfly eye fillet as an absolute
butterfly eye fillet. Nice.
There you go. Righto. So let's go with the cut, and the how you like it done. Let's go with that first, Lovey. Then we'll go sauce last.
Look, Glenn, just to be clear, they crucified Jesus 2022 years ago, mate. So you don't have to incinerate the fucking thing. Yes, it has to be dead. It has to be dead, but not burnt to oblivion like you probably want it. So I'm a medium. I'll go medium.
For sure, mate. Fence sitter.
My favourite cut. You know what? I mean, I always love a good ribeye. There's no harm in that, and I'm happy to watch a tomahawk cook for a good hour over a barbecue or something like that. Like the big tomahawk's always a lot of fun. But you know, if I want just a nice steak meal or anything like that, or a pub meal, whatever, porterhouse actually goes all right. If it's a decent cut, the porterhouse also goes okay.
Very true. Righto. Let's talk sauce for a second, boys. Do you have a sauce? What's the accompaniment?
Yeah,
a nice pepper sauce goes okay.
Just pepper sauce.
Just a pepper sauce, yep.
Is it a creamy base, a gravy? What do you do, mate?
I like a bit of a creamy base one, which is not too bad.
Is it your carbonara sauce that you chuck on it as well?
Yes.
Carbonara. It's a worry.
Mate, when we come to dinner, mate, I want you to cook. When we come to your place for dinner, mate, I want you to cook us carbonara.
Takes 5 minutes, mate.
All right, just while
what about you, Az?
While I was checking this out, this is a pick from Meat Maiden, so I'll just give you a little sneak peek.
Oh, nice.
This is where
Look at that. Look at that. Looks magnificent.
That's got to be
not even burnt sauce. Either, cuz.
That'll be a pepper sauce there. A little bit of char on the top, but it's what's in the middle that counts, as we know.
Yep.
You can be a little bit hard on a shell at the end of the day, but all the goodness sits in the middle there. Fair to say. And Berkey's the only way he likes it, cremated. Love your work, Berkey. He'd be a lamb chop man for sure.
He would almost, you could actually brush your teeth with charcoal back in the old days. He would do that. He would actually eat the steak and think his teeth are clean.
Yeah, absolutely.
My sauce.
Yes.
I'm actually more of a onion and mushroom kind of arrangement. Gravy. Chuck that on the ribeye.
Like Gravox special.
Oh, look out. Bonox.
Yes. Gravox. Who knows?
Nah, a good mushroom. If there's an onion within it as well, a slither of onion, then flick that in it too. But mushroom sauce, just beautiful.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely a classic. Definitely a classic. But there's different parts of the world, I think, that experience steaks differently. So I think that's where all these different sauces and all that have come from. But we'll do a bit more research on the old steak, and I wouldn't mind having the old steak debate. We'll get a few more people on, a few of the boys.
Yeah. Definitely.
You know
Have a
what?
bit of a round table.
You know what I reckon? What I'll do when you blokes do come over and we do a podcast at my house one day soon.
Oh, the live podcast. I like it.
We will have just for the bogans in the room, a big brown bottle of the old barbecue sauce too, if you want to have it.
Yeah, the old
Woolworths barbecue sauce.
I think the old barbecue sauce and tomato sauce that saves the old minute steak, doesn't it? Surely.
Yes, yeah. That's the shit you give to your kids.
Puts a little bit more substance back in it.
Glad to see Warren Mills has gone into specific detail about how he likes his steak done. Very nice.
Just let me tell you, Millsy is a bit of a meat connoisseur, mate. So, yeah, thanks for coming on, Millsy. Porterhouse pan fried, medium, at least marinated, rosemary, garlic, and olive oil. Oh, that's mouth watering. Sounds good, Warren. I look forward to enjoying that.
We need to stop talking about this now. I'm so bloody hungry.
Yes, we are for sure.
Please.
All right. What else? Cuz, did you have anything else in relation to your
and your choice of drink with your steak. Are you a wine, like it's a nice red, or are you a beer person?
I prefer a beer early, wash it, just warm up the palate a little bit, and then it's a nice glass of red with a steak. But only over the last couple of years I've come accustomed to a bit of a glass of red. I probably started right on the Cab Sav level because that's what I got told was the best and was way too strong for me. So I backed it off a bit, and I'm a bit more of a Shiraz man or a Merlot now. So I take it a little bit easier.
What you do, I learned a tip. If you've got a little bit of the wine left over, just before you bring the steak off the pan, put a little bit of just to keep it moist. If you want to have it a little bit moist and it falls away a little bit, put the red wine in it for a couple of minutes, either side, bring it out. It's got a nice little tang to it as well. I'll definitely start. What's that, mate?
The old lovey red wine dew, mate. I look forward to that little recipe.
Tell you what, mate, you will not throw up at my house. I guarantee you. You will keep it down. I definitely Cab Sav or a Shiraz to start the steak. Once I've finished it, if I'm in the mood, probably just finish it off with a couple of shots of rum, just to really throw it down there.
Rum, yep.
It'll be done. No problem.
Beautiful. All right.
Nice.
Sounds good. Sounds exciting. I look forward to this show. We're going to have to do it in the next few weeks because I'm big Kev now. I'm excited. Absolutely excited about it.
Well, do you really want to do it in a 2-degree night?
No, we don't want to save it for summer though because I think
it'll be too bloody hot.
There'll be a good steak. Yeah, exactly. There'll be a total fire ban or something. We won't be able to do it.
How about we set it for prelim final weekend?
Okay, I'm keen.
That's about the 16th, isn't it? September? Yep, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Righto. Lock it in.
Done.
It's a while away, but we're going to have to wait.
Just the boys, or we're bringing the better halves as well?
Oh, you can bring whoever you want, mate. Bring your fucking dog. I don't care. Oh, no, not your dog, Glenn.
Yeah, not your dog, cuz.
Not your
mate,
dog.
Man.
You know, if I bring my dog, mate, we'll have to leave you alone in the room with her.
All right,
dog.
Just before we get into AFL and a quick wrap around the grounds, we're going to just cover off quickly what happened on the weekend on Sunday, which was the RecLink Community Cup Megahertz, which versus the SB Rock Dogs. And it was the Megahertz winning with only by a couple of points in the last couple of seconds. So congratulations to Chris Gill from Northside Records and the Megahertz crew.
How good's that?
And the most amazing part was talk about local community engagement again. Have a look at this, guys. This is the after party after the game.
That's insane.
And that is back to its best. So after 2 years of COVID, it was great to see Cash Savage and the Last Drinks play at that gig, which was a Sunday afternoon. Ross Wilson got up. There was private function. Great band played as well. The wiggle, there was a wiggle on stage there. It all happened, mate. It's absolute chaos and some carnage. But if you have never been to a RecLink event, the classic, do yourself a favour for next year. I think we get a team there or a crew there anyway next year, and we go and watch it.
I watched the game about 10 years ago. There was one. There was the Megahertz won that year, I think, and Tim Rogers was front and center on that in that particular year. But it's a fantastic day. It really is. And kudos and thanks to one of our great friends on this podcast. You jump on Facebook, Naomi did it again with a whole bunch of photos in relation. You know what she's like, front row at the stage all the time.
Yeah.
So lots of great photos as well from a number of people. Massive day. Got to get to it next year for sure.
Yeah, and a shout out to one of the great photographers and local photographers around Melbourne, Robert Carbone, Carby Warby. He runs as a nickname. He's put up 10,000 images from the game. So it's fair to say if you can't find a pic of yourself, you probably weren't at the event, which amazing. So it's fair to say he's probably going to have a very sore finger.
That must have been on auto shutter, surely. Hitting
the shutter so many times, but it would have been a great day. Sadly I couldn't make it on the Sunday, but I look forward to doing it again. So that was that game. All right, let's kick into a massive round of footy, guys. Here we go. Doesn't matter which day and which night. We're just going to run through them. Round 15. Right. It's on. It is on.
Let's go straight to match of the round. And Essendon West Coast.
What's your match of the round?
Essendon West Coast, mate. Closely followed by Adelaide North.
Yeah, let's all right. Done. Let's flip it up. Let's flip it upside down. Let's go with 16th
let's work.
Versus 18th.
Let's get through all these shit games first, and we'll get to the good games. So
16th, 18th. Is this the battle for the spoon?
No.
Okay, good. Great to hear. So who wins it?
Essendon.
Bombers. Easy.
10 goals.
How much?
Easy.
10 goals each?
Turn the corner, boys. Turn the corner.
Yep.
Good to see Nick Nat back out there training. He's training the house down apparently, so he won't be too far away. Sadly, it's not going to be this game, but just be awesome and a great lift for the West Coast boys to have him back out there.
I hope he gets back for the sake of the game. Yep, it'd be good for him to be back in the sport. Absolutely,
definitely. Righto, let's cover it off. I think definitely you blokes both say 10 goals. I'm going to give the West Coast a bit more of a chance, so I'll still take the Bombers, but I'll take the Bombers with a 1-point win after the siren, just to see how it goes. So put that one on the list, boys. All right.
Who's kicking the match winner? Is it Draper, our best kick?
I think it gets touched over the line for a kick that falls short from. Is Stringer back playing?
He's playing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's bursts out of the middle and kicks a long point to get him over the line in the last couple of seconds.
Very good.
There you go. That's how it'll happen. All right, 15th versus 17th. Adelaide versus North Melbourne.
This will be a win to Adelaide by about 6 goals.
Yeah, I think Adelaide by 5. Yep.
Oh, Adelaide should be by plenty. So if they don't do it now, they never will. Put it that way. So yeah, I'll take Adelaide as well by 5 goals, I reckon. All right, let's come up the list. Port Adelaide and Gold Coast. 11th versus 12th. Pretty close, these two.
I think the loser of this game can't make finals.
Yeah, it's interesting with, what is it, 7 rounds left? Or 8 or so. It's hard to believe that so many teams, I think there's about 12 or 13 that could still make it. And we're declaring now one game, that many rounds out, we're knocking one side off. So it's
we are. I mean, and I say that because Port are a game back behind the Gold Coast.
Yep.
But I would back Port to get on a bit of a run to try and get into the finals before I would back the Gold Coast. So, for me, I think the loser of this, Port will be 3 games out of the finals with 6 games left or 7. That's impossible. You can't get in. And if the Gold Coast lose, then they stay 2 games out. But I don't think they've got the resilience to win enough games for the rest of the year Yeah, they have to keep nipping at the heels. No more than a game out the rest of the year. Gold Coast for mine. In terms of the winner, where's this been played?
Gold Coast.
That would be Gold Coast, yep.
Okay, so for me, it's the Suns.
Yep. I think the Suns, comfortably, to be honest.
Who's
What's
playing
going
the
on there,
cymbals?
It's my lovely children doing the dishes, mate.
Who's trying to become a percussionist? They should get in contact. She'll get in contact with Wolfie.
Fair to say that's not how you do the dishes. Boys, get it done. Get it done. Don't smash them. Well, if you smash them, you got to. I always worked on the theory that if you smashed it, you didn't have to clean it. So
Where's the clean? Yeah.
Toss them out.
Yep, I think Gold Coast comfortably. So, all right.
Yeah, tend to agree.
Lovey. Yeah, I think you said Gold Coast.
Yep.
Western Bulldogs versus Hawthorn. 10th versus 14th.
Hawthorn
Well-
are starting to drop away a bit now. So for me, the Dogs are starting to get a couple of players back in. They get Lockie Hunter in this week. They get Josh Bruce potentially the week after. They have to win this, and I think they will by about 17 points.
Yeah, I tend to think the Doggies too. For the reasons Lovey said, they're getting a bit of their cattle back. Bruce back in a couple of weeks' time will be a massive in for them, coming up to finals and trying to make finals. So yeah, I think Doggies have to win.
Yeah, I would still love to see the doggies get up and get on a bit of a run now. I think they can do it, and I think they're going to win by about 4 to 5 goals. So big effort by Norton and the new little tip rat with a done elbow kicked five goals before half time. Incredible effort.
Geez, he played well.
Yeah,
He did, yeah.
absolute lights out. To be honest, he probably won't have another performance like that. So sadly, he got injured and cost him.
He's playing this week.
He's
No, he's
playing.
not.
No,
No.
He's playing.
Bevo said tonight, not playing.
ruled him out.
He's playing. He will play. You watch. He will play.
Yeah, try and keep him back after you kick
I'll
5
put my
goals.
left
He's
nut
so
on it,
hungry to get
Glenn.
back out there.
Ooh, left nut.
Here's a question for you. Did either of you boys notice, and it probably couldn't have happened because you don't kick that many goals in a half unless you're absolutely out there every second, but did he come off in between any of those goals? The old standard rule these days, get off the ground after you've kicked one?
No, he stayed on.
Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to hear, and it's
Exactly.
good to see it's back. Someone's done
Yeah.
it, finally. Stay out there. If you're running hot, get them the ball. And
If you're on fire, you're on fire. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think on that, just real quick, you'll notice if it's a lot of midfielders that do come off predominantly after they've kicked the goal. They come off for their spell anyway. They're scheduled to come off. I hate it when a forward comes off after he's kicked 1 or 2 quick goals and they say, well, yeah, but you're in the rotations. You've got to come off. It's like sports scientists, piss off. No, I don't. I'm not coming off. I'm on. Leave me alone. Imagine trying to tell Wayne Carey he's kicked 2 goals in the first 5 minutes of a game. Oh, mate, it's your turn to come off in the rotation.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all.
yeah, if you're running super hot, stay out there and get the ball to them. Clear out.
Yep.
Clear out, they say, as a forward.
That's right.
Give them an opportunity. All right, let's we all went Bulldogs there.
Yep.
Let's go 9th versus 13th. Here is a massive game. Massive game, I reckon.
Collingwood are surprising me.
Collingwood are surprising you? Yep.
Yeah, they are. I think, I don't like them as a football club in general, but I think they're outperforming compared to what they were probably going to be classified as this year. They've certainly won a lot more games to this point in the year than I thought they would. They should, everyone has milestone games. Well, Mason Cox became an Australian citizen today, so they'll be fired up for that. They've got no more cheeky Americans on their list. They're now all full-blooded Australians on the Magpie list. So if that's not enough motivation to win a game of football, I don't know what is. Go the citizenship.
Yep, play that angle.
Nice.
For sure. I wonder if he got some glasses with the Australian flag on them. Those little cheeky Australian sunnies to wear. That'd be a piss take if he put those on.
Oh, mate. Now he's not sponsored by Speedo yet. I don't know.
I noticed he's got one day the dark lens and one that's not a dark lens. So what's going on there? Does one drop out?
I don't get that. I noticed that too. I don't get that. Doesn't make sense.
This this whole attention-seeking thing I was talking about before in my fucking fire up. I'll tell you what. No, I'm joking. I'm sure he's got a eye issue. There's no doubt about it. But I'm with you. It's just I've never seen it like that. I've never seen anything like that before. Like, have you ever seen anyone wear sunglasses with two shades like that?
Yeah, exactly. Two shades.
The only one I ever saw do that is either you've got a issue with one of your eyes and you've got to wear a different lens or a dark lens or
Different prescription. Yep.
Or the great man from Dr. Hook that had the old patch.
Yes.
So, yeah.
When you're in love with a beautiful woman.
There you go. I had to let you go there, cousin. Hang yourself on that one. But
Thanks.
Good
band,
who do you reckon, cuz? Who do you reckon? 9th versus 13th. Collingwood.
I give the GWS a sneaky chance. I think the Goey won't play.
Okay, Toby Green running super red hot at the moment.
Well, we know
what happens this week. How many's he kicked?
He gets him over the line with 6.
6, 7 last week, 6 this week. Massive couple of weeks for Toby Green, if that's the case.
No.
Lovey?
I'm going the opposite way. I think that maniac they got across half back, their deputy vice captain, what's his name? Maynard. I think he'll go straight to Toby Green and he'll just put him into the fence about 54 times in the game. I think Collingwood win this by about 4 goals.
Yep, I reckon Pies by 6 and Toby Green to kick 2. But Toby Green's going to get reported for exactly that reason. Maynard. He's a great player. There was a rumour that he was coming to Melbourne at one stage and I was super excited because it's exactly the player that you want. I would definitely put my hand up for him, but there's no way Collingwood are going to let him go. So,
boy.
He's a pie for life, that one.
Did you go to D-La?
He did.
Did you?
Oh, shut up. Shut up. That's not what I
Where is he, Cuz? Where is he?
He's not in that photo, mate. He's a lot younger than me.
Glenn, you always angle your little bloody footy under 19 career every single week into this podcast.
I didn't. He went to D-La. It's a fact.
We get sick of it.
He was photographed on the news wearing a D-La self football skivvy hoodie.
I didn't realise I'd have to include you in my lovely losers set earlier tonight, but now I have to. You're another edition. It's just all about you, Glenn.
Righto, let's get into it. Cuz from D-La. Righto. We're going with 7th versus 8th. Now, I reckon this is one for the top 8. This is a battle for the top 8 right there. 7th versus 8th. Sydney versus St Kilda. This one's in Sydney.
Have you seen St Kilda's draw?
We'll come to the draw in 2 seconds. We'll go quickly through the games and we'll run through the draw.
So this game, look, St Kilda for me, it was the manner in which they played against us last week against Essendon, which would have been pretty concerning. Their best and their worst are so far apart. I just think Sydney are too much of a machine, too consistent, know how to play. Buddy's doing a lot more than what the scoreboard is probably suggesting. He's actually in pretty good form. So for me, I think Sydney win this by about 45 points.
Cuz?
I think Sydney up there, as Lovely said, they've got a pretty good system up there, and I think that loss last week will cost the Saints big time.
Yep. I think Sydney by 6 goals. Now, I heard someone saying that they reckon Buddy's on the big slide and his games are getting worse and worse. I just totally disagree. I reckon he's the absolute one of the best field kickers, and I'd love to see him brought up the ground more. I think he should start at the wing and just run straight down the middle or the side of that wing and own it like Langdon does at Melbourne and just launch one into the middle, mate. I think that's where he should be right now.
You know what? People that are saying that about Buddy are uneducated about the role that he's playing in the team. Pure and simple. He is starting halfway up the ground. He is starting at pretty much about 40 metres out. Yeah, these clowns that are on his back, they expect him to kick 3 goals a game on average still. It's not going to happen anymore. It's not the role he's being asked to play. It's that simple. The amount of times that he attracts 2 or 3 to the ball, They then go to the Free Sydney player that he's generated. So as far as I'm concerned, his output's fine. And if anyone's going to dump a bloke, they're not playing well. It'll be Johnny Longmire, right? So I don't think Horse would be putting up with a bloke if he's not performing. So for me, stupid stuff being said about Buddy.
Yep. All right, Dave. Thanks for joining us, mate, from Kids Camp. We want to know what you're doing at Kids Camp, Dave. Hopefully,
One time at band camp.
we had some calls that you're cooking a big carbonara. Yeah, absolutely.
No flutes.
Band camp. We
flutes.
look forward to hearing
No
the story about
flutes.
band camp. There was another one. What's your most favourite camp kind of college movie from back in the day, boys? What have you got? You got one?
Oh, Stand By Me.
Stand by Me.
Cuz?
Stand by Me was good. Grown Ups.
Right. It's got to be Revenge of the Nerds. Got to be.
Oh yes, yeah.
Hey? Got to be. Anyway, we look forward to hearing from
What was the
you,
name of
Dave.
the big bully in that? What was his name again?
The Lambda Lambdas versus the Alpha Betas.
Was it Ted McGinley played the bully?
No,
Okay,
he
Happy Days?
was the Alpha Beta jock, but there was a massive dude that was just, let's go get some nerds. Like he just a complete meathead. I can't remember his name. Yeah.
And Dave's chimed in with Adventure Camp. I'd like to hear what these days adventure is. Dave, you would take them on the best adventure of all time and get these kids lost out in the bush. Where are you, Dave?
And just leave them there.
Coonawarra.
Kuna who?
Coonawarra. If you hear it on the news, you know where Dave's got the kids lost. So look out.
They found a bloke strumming a guitar leaning up against a tree.
Yes,
That'll be the news.
it will be.
It's not a kid's school camp. It's the bloody wine region of South Australia. He's on a junket.
Good idea, Dave. You've taken them all to the winery. Beautiful effort. All right, let's go with the next game, boys. The Cats. We're going into the top 8 now. The Cats versus the Tigers.
Cats
me?
by 5.
Yep, for me, Tigers. Tigers get them by 2 goals. It's going to be a close one. What do you reckon, Lovey?
Because it's at the G, I agree. I think the Tigers by about 8 points. So I reckon this will be a cracker. This will be a bloody good game of football.
Yeah, home game for the Cats at the G. It's an interesting one.
I don't think the Cats will be too happy about that, but it is what it is. For me, Richmond are starting to get their players back as well, and they're starting to play some good football. So for me, I think Richmond get up by just over a goal.
Perfect. Righto. Freo and Carlton. This is an interesting one. I take it's at Fremantle.
No, it's at Marvel.
Is it? Marvel.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Nice of them to not put who's first or second or where the games are. Unless Fremantle playing a home game at Marvel. What's going on there? I don't think so.
No, so Carlton suffered their worst loss this year over at Perth Stadium to Freo. I don't know if you remember it. They got absolutely pantsed.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yep.
Yep.
So it's at Marvel. Look, Freo don't have a lot of tall forwards, so it probably plays into or any gun forwards, I should say. Like they don't have a Hawkins and Jeremy Cameron combo or anything like that. So that helps Carlton, but the problem is it's on a fast track. And Freo are the quickest team, plus they're really good on the inside at the moment. And they've got resting ruckman. They have got Taberner. I just don't know if Carlton can cover the pace and the firepower up forward for them to get over the line. So for me, I think Freo would get a really crucial away win and really consolidate their top 4 spot. I think they win by about 22 points.
Yep. Hard not to agree with that one. Lovey. So I'll run with you exactly the same on that one. Let's go with the magic number of 22. All right. Given that it's the 22nd of June right now. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? All right.
Nice.
Now.
What about you, Cuz?
Oh, I think Freo, mate. I think they're a good side. I think they're a good side.
Yep.
And they just seem to be.
I didn't see last week's game, but had 5 fit back in, guys.
Yeah, he was all right.
Yeah, fine.
He
Yeah,
just looked like another player. It was fine. They didn't try and overuse him or try and get him into the game. He had to work his way into it, and he kind of did.
Yep.
I think he kicked a couple, about a dozen or so touches. Yeah, look, that's his role for this year, I think. Anyway, I honestly think how good's he? He's going to get the 4th best defender every time he plays up forward. He's just going to be a nightmare to try and match up on.
Yeah, he's a tough matchup for sure.
Oh,
for sure.
Mate, it's ridiculous.
And I think it's a great call. He'll let the boys up the ground do their thing like they've been doing and not upset that middle mix. He could go in and pinch hit if it's not working, but I think it's a great move to come down and be super damaging.
Who's Melbourne's 4th best defender?
Max Gawn. We slide him back when it's all going pear-shaped. So,
but you get what I'm saying. Yeah. The 4th defender's a real tough thing there.
Definitely. And they're normally not one with size too. And Fife has still got a bit of size and super strong. So he's a super tough matchup. All right, let's go to arguably the game match of the round. It kicks off the round too. Brisbane versus Melbourne. Now this is at the MCG. First versus second. Melbourne is starting for short-paced placed favourites.
Short price favourite?
what price money on?
$1.59 to $2.32, and they say he's shortening. They say shortening in the ring. So, what's your thoughts? Cuz?
I think the Lions, mate, with no Maxi.
They've just announced a couple of players out, mate. I don't know if you've read the news.
Who's out?
No Zorko.
Yeah.
Is that a loss?
Not as big as Max.
Not as good as Max Gawn, I wouldn't have thought.
There's another one. There is another
Richard
one.
Champion?
Find it. No, Zach Bailey's out as well, which is, I reckon, a bigger loss.
Okay, that's fine. That's goal. That's goal kicking ability and lots of pace around the middle of the ground.
Yep.
I never thought I'd say this year, but to pick against Melbourne on the MCG sounds ridiculous. But I think on form at the moment, I am now officially a little concerned for Melbourne in terms of just their cohesion. They still couldn't find a goal last week. Wiedemann comes back in, which helps, but the problem is you just don't have Max Gawn basically generating the structures that you guys run with. So it's a lot for Luke Jackson to have to run with. For me, it's Brisbane are just playing some fairly consistent footy as well, I think. And I think on a wide ground like the MCG, Charlie Cameron could go berserk. And Zorko can be covered. I agree with you. I think Bailey's probably harder to cover, but Zorko could be covered. You've got midfielders galore in the Brisbane team. So for me, I think it'll be tight, but I think it probably a Lions win by about 15 points.
Yep, and a super challenge, big challenge to have Stephen May back. Super pressure. He's got a lot of pressure around his shoulders now.
You know what?
It's payback time.
He owes that club. He owes that club.
Big time.
He's still considered. If I was in that club right now, I would still have a lack of respect for him, and I would continue to do so until he starts putting the runs on the board and starts acting like a normal person.
Yeah, I think there'll be no doubt that the boys have said to him, "Mate, you owe us one here." So I would have brought Malcolm back in as well with a busted hand and just thrown him straight back in the mix and thrown them both down back and said, "Righto, boys, let's go for it. Let's go for it." A couple of interesting stories came out during the week about some old-fashioned dust-ups at training that's happened. Gloves off. There's some good stories we'll share.
My favourite one's Cameron Cloak and Satana are helping. And
Yeah, that's the best one, yeah.
Yeah,
Satana basically kicks him literally right up his ass.
Yeah.
That was a practice match, wasn't it?
Practice match, yeah.
Yeah, intra-club, yeah.
Plug through one, then Satana through about 6.
Yeah, they get a little bit willing, that's for sure. An interesting point to bring up, this is what's the Brisbane Lions' last 9 games at the G. Now, this this is hard to argue that obviously one day this day is going to turn, but it's hard to bet against. Like surely we as Melbourne we get them again. Hopefully, please.
Oh, look,
Get this job done.
I
Get
think
back on track.
I think Brisbane sends a big kill here for me.
Yeah, what's theirs for the taking? It's their best opportunity. We've got them last round again in Brisbane, so we meet again in a few more weeks. So it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. Righto, let's just talk about the run home quickly. And they've ranked who they believe's got the easiest fixture on their way home. And it's interesting because Adelaide, you would have thought every game is a tough game at the moment for Adelaide, teams like Adelaide and North. So for them to be sitting in thinking they've got easy fixtures.
Hang on.
Bombers with an easy fixture. I don't think it really happens at the moment. Each game's a hard game to win. I don't care where you sit on the ladder.
Hold on. So are Adelaide playing North Melbourne, West Coast, and us twice each? It's the only way I can think that they must have the easiest draw.
Yeah.
Couldn't be. But it's just interesting to see what they believe's the hardest draw. Looking at Melbourne.
Well, it's based on the ladder. It's based on the ladder positions and win losses at the moment, right? And St Kilda play 6 of their last 8 games against top 8 teams right now. I don't know how they're not sitting in 18. I honestly don't know how that works.
Melbourne aren't much different to that, so you can understand why they're sitting there. But I haven't actually looked at the Bulldogs' draw. I didn't realise it would be actually.
Bulldogs are tough.
Bulldogs
are tough. They've got 5. They've got 5 in the top 8 coming up. Yeah, current top 8.
And as you mentioned, Carlton and Port sitting at 12th and 13th in respect of the hardest fixtures to come. It's tough for them. And Dockers, interestingly enough, too, sit all those from 11 down to 17 or 18 have all got quite a tough draw. So it's going to be a great last 6 or so weeks, guys.
But so look who's in the box seat there. You go to the left-hand column. There's 3 teams there for me that are in the box seat.
The Cats.
It's the Cats, it's the Tigs, and it's the Swannies.
Swannies, yeah.
All 3 are pretty much entrenched in the top 8 as it is. And they've got draws coming up that are pretty favourable. The other smoky there is Gold Coast.
Yeah. From your opinions, and you've always been a big rap on the Gold Coast and thought they'd come from the clouds at some point. But I think it's there for the Pies too. If they're going to keep this momentum, the question is, have they gone too early, and can they do it? They get they get to Goey back and put it on him like they're going to put it on May. And let's see what they got. Let's see what they're built from. But you'd love them to sneak a final this year. I'd love to see Carlton sneak a final this year. Can it happen? Who knows?
We're cut from a different cloth on that one.
Well, fair to say, I've never liked Collingwood Carlton, but I never liked Essendon either. So what can you say? Yeah. That's the great part about our game and why we all agree to disagree and have love-hates different parts of our clubs. I've always liked, well, I haven't liked, but I've always followed St Kilda and the Bulldogs because they're very similar to us. Hadn't won anything recently until the last couple of years. So, yeah,
I would probably go with the fact I probably sympathise with those 3 supporter groups over the years, and even before when Geelong broke through for their first in 2007 and Sydney in 2005. It's just those supporter groups. There's 5 clubs. There's a third of your competition back in 2007 that hadn't won a premiership for 30 plus years each. So. The sympathy's there, but it's pretty thin now anyway.
Yep, we need to get the Saints one. That's for sure.
Yes.
I think so.
Be good. It'll be good.
It'll happen eventually.
Won't be this year.
Like Melbourne, when you least expect it. All right. That's probably all I've got footy-wise, unless you guys have got anything else.
No.
Okay.
No, that's it.
Right. Let's quickly wrap up with State of Origin Game 2.
How good was that game? Game
after
1.
Interruption, fair to say, to New South Wales' plans. Freddie Fittler did his best to go and have a chat to the rest pre first game and have a little find out how it was all going to roll from a referee's point of view, and it didn't work for him. So Queensland, fair to say, Billy Slater and team, and got the jump on them.
Yep.
So they move across to Perth now on neutral territory. And can they get game 2 done? What's your thoughts, Lovey? And who's going to win it?
I think Queensland can wrap it up. It's on neutral territory, as you say. And I get the impression New South Wales still don't know what their team looks like, what their best team actually looks like. And, you know, they're talking, they've all gone into camp, but Freddie Fittler's just really battling with trying to understand who he actually wants on the paddock right now. So he's brought 2 new guns back, 2 new boys back in, and they're very good footballers. But Queensland just feel like they're a heck of a lot more settled. And they've probably played together in State of Origin a little bit more, a few more times than what people probably think, particularly the Gaggais and the Munsters and those guys of that ilk. I think they've actually still played a fair bit of Origin together. So, and Daly Cherry Evans. I mean, that guy reminds me of a. He's not going to be at the same level as Darren Lockyer, but he just kind of reminds me of Darren Lockyer, the way Lockyer used to lead those Maroons teams back in the early 2000s. They weren't meant to win, but under Lockyer, they always did. And I think DCE's fairly similar in that regard from an Origin perspective. Yeah,
and I think the excitement machine that is Cameron Munster at the moment is going to set it alight again. He was unbelievable in game 1. We were actually on air during that game, as we know from a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago. But
I think my crotch accidentally came in the camera too when I jumped up. I was thinking, you beauty. Look, I think my big question: Did Fox come in? Did the Fox come in for New South Wales?
I don't think he has. No. The good news
I think
is
he just takes players that have come from Melbourne Storm.
Yeah, well, the good news is we've got the little Kiwi into Queensland's team, Reece Walsh from the Warriors, and I think that's a great get. He was in the squad last year, but didn't get a run, I don't think, from memory. But it'll be amazing. It'll be amazing to see him if they can win it to go back and play game 3 in front of a home crowd. I know it's a dead rubber, but geez, I'll tell you what, New South Wales won't want to go down 3-0 in Queensland. It's messy because
you would be showered with stuff you just don't want to be showered with walking off the ground.
The Maroons juggernaut will continue on for a long time yet if they get this one series over the line. The series they weren't supposed to win, put it that way.
Correct.
So it's an exciting time, Sunday night. Now, Sunday night, I'm going to be and hoping you boys can join us at Timothy Wolf, who is a friend of the show. We've had him on, and he'll be playing a duo and with a young superstar, Hannah Schmidley, who I saw not long ago, Brunswick Ballroom, and absolutely loved. So that's 26th of June.
That's this Sunday night.
It's this
Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, so it'll start at 4 for a 4:30 kickoff, and it'll be done before 7, and then straight after 7, we're heading to State of Origin land for 7:30 kickoff.
Yep. Now, I will be an apology. I have purchased a ticket, but I'll be an apology. So, Glenn.
Yes, mate.
What are you doing? What are you doing Sunday afternoon?
No, nothing, mate.
Nothing. Good. I'll pass the ticket on to you, and you can go.
Lovely.
So I'll forward that on later tonight. Young Toby's 23rd birthday. So
beautiful.
We'll be heading out to I don't know where. It won't be a sizzler, and we'll make sure that our steaks aren't well done. They'll be medium to medium rare as well. Toby's in your court too, Aaron. Likes his steak with a bit of mooing, but not too much.
Beautiful. Well, I look forward to hearing about the Steak Fest, your Steak Fest, and I'll tell you about my Steak Fest. We might even do a little Steak Fest chat next week.
Sounds like quite the meat off tonight, doesn't it? Real lot of meat off.
Bit of a testosterone fest with the meat fest. So, Cuz, I know you'd be a meat lovers pizza man. Shout out to our number one sponsor, Global Pizza. We can't let Great Gaz go without a quick shout out. Go and do the job, will you, Cuz?
Okay, mate. I will.
One job.
I was thinking that tomorrow.
Haven't you done it yet, Glenn?
Nah, apologies, mate.
And come on, cuz, this is you, mate. You're dropping the ball. That's our new one. That's our new one we're going to drag
Nice.
up. Just a quick shout out to Damon Smith, who's a friend of the show, just releasing a brand new album called Skeletons. This will be a cracker. And while I've got it here, let's just bring it up and we might just play, if I can pull this off, just a little snippet from it.
By my side, you gotta move. I wanna think what you've done. That moment you walk, you took that blue right by the home. Check the confidence with that phone, speed it up when you feel at home. Without how you come and how you grow.
Nice.
There you go.
At one stage there, at the start of that clip, I'm thinking, is he a musical Charlie Chaplin? It's where's the sound? But I think that might be the technical bloke behind you. Is that right, Aaron?
It might have been. I actually hit mute on myself, but realised it probably mutes the whole thing. So there you go. But I tell you, Damon is a super talent, as we know, and his ability to put together film clips, launches, he's incredible. How he
Is he doing
can pull
tours?
that off.
Is he doing a tour for that? Do you know?
He will be doing a tour. We're going to get him on in the next couple of weeks as well to tell us about all the good things he's got going. But he's got
good.
a launch date of 29th, which is next week.
Next week.
He's launching
Today,
that
next week,
new album
Yeah.
at the
Next
Jazz
Wednesday.
Lab.
Very good.
Yes, he's got plenty on. Like we've all got plenty on. So, boys, we're going to wrap it for there. Unless you got anything
Beautiful,
else.
boys.
Anything else?
No.
Beautiful. We're done. All right. Have a good weekend. And on Sunday night, as I mentioned, Timothy Wolf, and we're going to go out, which I've done this little clip before, but I think it's a fitting, given that we're going to see this young lady take the stage again. Let's go out with Hannah Schmidley. See you later, boys. Have a good week.
See you guys. Look after yourselves.
You too.